Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do a labor credit. On this part, you can see that I have on order a trunk lid, and it's an LKQ used part. So the LKQ company walks through the door, has a trunk lid, there's some damage on it, but you know what, we really need this, and we can go ahead and take care of the damage. So when we call the LKQ company to see if there's something they can do to help us out on the repair necessary on the damage, they're going to go ahead and give us $100. So we have to receive the part first in order to be able to post the labor credit. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to receive the part for the amount of money that we had originally agreed on. So we're going to go ahead and put the invoice number in and the amount, which is $479. And at this time we could scan the invoice. Once we scan the invoice, we'll hit OK. Now we've received the part. Now on that received part, obviously we need to post a credit. So we're going to go down to labor credit by right-clicking on the part, and we're going to hit labor credit. Now, from the vendor, you can see it's the LKQ. We need to give the amount that they're going to be returning us to post a credit. So that's going to be $100. Now in the memo, you may end up having a quote number or whatever the case may be. We're just going to make it quote 67. And as you can see, we're going to post a body labor of 1.8 hours, which is going to be our labor rate, so that we can go ahead and put that on the line item automatically, so that the technician that repairs the vehicle will have credit of 1.8 for doing the repair, and we will also be waiting for a credit return to come back to us so that we can take back the credit and post it to our account. So in this being said, we're going to go ahead and hit OK. And as you can see, I have here a labor credit that when the LKQ company sends us the credit, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and check mark in the box, and we're going to drag and drop up to credit return. At this time, we can receive the credit for the $100. And I'm going to post it, and now we've received the credit. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and show you how to open a estimate and turn it into an open repair order. So in the estimate tab, that's where you're going to find all your estimates. Estimates are opportunities to sell a job. We're going to highlight on the job I just sold. I'm going to highlight and drag and drop to open ROs. Now I want to open this RO. As you can see, the asterisks, the red asterisks, are mandatory fields that's going to be necessary to fill in prior to opening the repair order. So this is going to help us gather information about the customer, or have all of the same information in our management system that we want in the management system that we may have missed in writing the estimate. So in this being said, I'm going to go ahead and my source of information on how I acquired the estimate, and this one here is going to be a referral. On my phone number, I'm going to go ahead and put a phone number in. And from the drop-down menu, I'm going to select the insurance company. From the claim number, where I have a mandatory field, I have to put something in that field as well. So we have a claim number, and it's important where the estimator will come over from the estimating system, but you really want to take it from the drop-down menu of the estimator. We have an opportunity to put the CSR's name in, and we're going to go ahead and select the CSR. The rest of the mandatory fields are filled in and transferred over from the estimating system. We have an opportunity to select whether the car is drivable or non-drivable. Also, we're going to select whether or not the person is in a rental. Here under the scheduling, you can see how many labor hours, how many dollars, insurance company, and the insurance company's allocation per labor hour per day is already preset according to the insurance company that we had selected. We've also went ahead and defined what type of repair this is, and we have the opportunity that we can change that definition if we feel that it's necessary and hasn't selected it correctly. Then I'm going to go to next, and next is going to take me into my schedule. And what I'll do is I'm going to double click on the date. As you can see, the date will give us a date in and date out according to what our insurance company had recommended per labor hours per day. In this case, it was 4, which gives us a due in and due out date according to our total labor hours on the estimate. Now we're going to go to next, and in this area here we're just going to bypass, and now we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring the vehicle in. So in this case the vehicle is scheduled in, and this gives us an opportunity to highlight a method of how the customer would like to be communicated with. In this case it's going to be by cell phone, and the other is how frequently. We're going to go ahead and do a follow-up call as the vehicle goes through the production steps. From there we're going to hit finish and close, and at that time we will have opened a repair order in the scheduled in field. Under the open ROs you will find the person's repair order has just opened. Now from that area you want to go in and immediately into the line items, and you want to scrub the line items. And let me show you why I mean this. Here we have hazardous waste that come over, flex additive, cover car, and they have no type. Anything that's associated with a dollar value has to have a type. If your scrubber is built correctly, you would be able to go in, hit scrub, right click, and execute the scrub engine. What's going to happen is if that's built correctly, it's going to give us an opportunity to put everything in the correct order where you want that type in accounting. In this case, in flex additive, I certainly don't want that in sublet, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select that as shop supplies. Now I can go back and correct it in my scrubber to where each time it sees flex additive written exactly this way, it's going to default it to shop supplies. That should do. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do a overall parts discount. So I'm going to highlight the estimate that I want to reflect the discount on. I'm going to go to the line items, and as you can see we have parts on the estimate. I'm going to go to auto, and in the auto area you're going to see apply overall discount. We're going to take a 20% discount on the new parts, which are taxable, and we're going to hit save. At that time I've just brought in a parts discount on my new parts for $65.57, and I'm going to recalculate it this time, and now I've reflected my parts discount. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and show you how to print a credit return memo or credit return slip. On this trunk lid, I want to print a credit return memo. So I'm going to go up to the tab that's credit return, and I'm going to go to print. Now I have my credit return. I'm going to hit save, and in this box you're going to check mark credit return memo, run report, and you'll be able to see that this is your memo. So you can print it, email, fax it, print 2 copies, one with a part, possibly one with your file, and that should do for our credit return memo. Okay, I want to show you how to transfer cost and why this happens. I had received parts, and on the parts order there was an additional emblem that came in that was needed for the vehicle. I went ahead and created a 99 line by adding that part in so that I could receive my parts, so my invoice and my parts would be able to match on our receive. So at this time I went ahead and I put the emblem on my estimate and synchronized it to Summit. So I need to transfer cost from the emblem that I received to the emblem that I have no cost associated with that I've just put on my estimate. So this time I'm going to check mark the box that I want to transfer cost, and I'm going to highlight the emblem that I'm going to transfer cost up to. So at this time I'm going to hit transfer, and it says, do I want to transfer the cost to the emblem? See, this emblem here has a cost of $34.85 to the emblem that I had put on my estimate that has no cost associated with it at this time. And I'm going to hit yes. At this time it says, cost is transferred successfully. Do you want to delete the old line? Yes, I want to delete the old line. Now I've transferred the cost to the emblem on line 6, and I've removed the 99 line that I've added, giving me just the cost associated with this emblem. There's no longer an additional cost on this invoice or on this estimate of repair or parts that's not associated with line items. Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to do a credit return. What you're going to do is we're going to return this trunk lid. So I'm going to tag the box. I'm going to highlight, click on, left mouse click, and drag and drop the part to credit return. Now, you have an opportunity to return only, return and reorder, receive credit, or cancel. In this case, I'm going to return and I'm going to reorder the part. So it asks me, do you want to return and reorder? Yes. Now, this box is going to come up and ask you, why are we returning the part? So I'm going to return it because it's a damaged part. If the part has been picked up from your location and taken back with the vendor, you're going to put a check mark in the box that says the part has been picked up. In this case, I'm going to deselect because the part is still here. I'm going to go to Save, and it's going to return and reorder. As you can see, I have a trunk lid returned. The part is still on my property, and at this time I've reordered, and now I have it a status as on order. Now if the part is picked up later, you will check mark the box so you can show that it has been returned. If it's been returned, I'm going to show you how to relieve it from your statement. You're going to put a check mark in the box. You're going to drag and drop it back up to credit returned. Now at this time I'm going to receive the credit from the vendor. So I'm going to hit OK, and this is going to give me my credit. I can scan the credit return in, so it will appear in the Media tab under Scan Documents. In this case, I'm going to now hit Save. Okay, we're going to go ahead and receive parts in Summit. So what I like to do is, again, I like to go up and I like to select new parts, and it'll give me a list of just the new parts. So now I have a list of just the new parts. What I'd like to go ahead and do is I'm going to right click and show part tag totals. So let me go ahead and give you an idea what the part tag totals are. Any parts that I tag will show up as a cost and a list price of each part. As I tag the next part, I can go up and I can validate that the cost and list is correct. So I'm going to go ahead and tag all of the parts and make sure that it matches what my invoice says from the vendor. In this case, if it's not correct, I will go in and I can adjust the list price by highlighting in the box, and at this time I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change the cost. So I've changed the cost by typing the figure in, and I can go up and I can calculate. Now it matches what my cost is. But in this case, I want to go ahead and change the list price. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to type in the correct list price. Now, once I do that and click out of the box, you can see that the list price has changed and it's turned green in the adjusted list. This will give an indication on the line items to the estimator that there's been a change on the list price. This will give him an opportunity to go ahead prior to closing the repair order to change the part price on his estimate and resynchronize the change estimate in the estimating system to reflect the actual true list price that we should be charging for the part. Now I have all the parts tagged that I have on order. I'm going to grab one, left click with the mouse, hold down, and I'm going to drop to receive. Now once the receive comes up, you're going to see a box that's going to give you direction. One, I need the invoice number in the invoice field here that matches the invoice from the vendor, and you see the calculated cost at the bottom. That should match the invoice that we have in our hand from the vendor. At that time, I'm going to put the amount in, and that amount's $738.12. Now I can scan at this time the invoice in so that it will drop into the medium, so we will have the information in underscanned documents. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit OK after the scanning, and I'm going to receive the parts. As you can see, the parts come up in green, and it'll show all of the received parts, the date, and the vendor information. Now we have one part that's still on order from an aftermarket source, and when that invoice comes in with the parts, I can go ahead and receive my aftermarket parts at that time. This should conclude the parts order. Okay, we're going to go over ordering parts in Summit. The first thing we're going to do in the Parts tab is where you're going to order your parts. And what I like to do is I'll go up and I'll sort just the new parts. So this gives us just an opportunity to see just the new parts. At that time, you can hit tag and tag all parts, or you can go down and tag the selected parts that you're going to order from the vendor. So at that time, you're going to grab one and drag and drop by holding the left mouse button down and drop the parts on order. We'll drag and drop. Now, the box comes up and it asks you what vendor are you going to order from. In this case, we're going to order from Lamb Chevrolet. The date is always going to default to the date that you're ordering the parts. Now, it will default to the date within 24 hours receiving. If you're not going to receive the parts in 24 hours, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to highlight the date that we want it to come in. We can go ahead and set the priority. In this case, we're going to leave it as low. You can put a note in for the parts person that's going to receive the parts order, and in this case, we'll go ahead and ask if they can price match. By having the check mark in the box here, where you see print, it's going to go ahead and bring the next screen up. Now I'm going to hit OK. And here's your parts order. If the parts order doesn't come up, you would highlight the box and run report. You can fax, email, print, or turn it into a PDF so that you can attach it to an email. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and print. I can close the box. Now I've printed a parts order, and as you can see, I have the parts on order. Now, if I want to go ahead and do aftermarket parts, I can do the same thing. Select the aftermarket, tag, drag, and drop. Now I can order those parts from another vendor. Same procedure, hit OK, and